Hey guys, this is Jens and Nico speaking from Germany. We are the composers for Ahoy, and in this today's episode and this video we want to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes of the music for the Veloce video that we did. Nico, say hi to the camera.
Hello. Hi, my name is Nico.
Okay, great. So after some technical issues we had setting up the session, as we're both in Munich, so basically in the same town, it was indeed a bit difficult. But anyways, let's get to the Veloce video. So maybe speaking overall for the whole Ahoy project and the music for Ahoy, the approach is to actually be as time appropriate as possible. So not even only for the ships or for the nations, but also for the music, of course, which means we have a lot of classical music, Baroque style music. But what we are trying to do is to come up with a modern producing style and producing like in a modern style all these classical pieces of music. And one of the great examples for that is of course this showcase video of Veloce that we're going to show you in detail. But first of all, maybe Nico, you want to explain something about like the overall approach of the Veloce video first.
So the task was to make music for this British ship, the Veloce, the British Navy. So we had the idea to take a traditional piece of music, and we first thought, okay, we might take the British Grenadier March. It was one of the first songs popping up for us, but somehow it didn't feel right, so Jens, I guess, searched along and found the track Heart of Oak. Which felt right from the beginning. It had this very gracious way to it, which represented the ship in a good way, I guess. And we really liked the melody. So we took it, we stretched it a bit time-wise, so we made it quite longer, the melody, and pitched it down 3 semitones, and started like exploring the melody and how to rearrange the harmonics, and basically ended up with what we got now, which is the Heart of Oak soundtrack for the Veloce trailer. I guess we can have a look at the project here, like our Cubase project. And basically what you see is that we have a very, very classical orchestra, which is playing all the music. Like we have woodwinds, brass, percussion, strings. The only fake instrument, so to speak, is our sub bass. And then what comes to mind really quickly is the sparks, the string sparks at the bottom of the session, which is one of the more modern touches. As Jens said, it's what you hear is a very classical melody and a historically correct one, but how it's produced, we wanted to take this a little bit in the modern direction. And so these very modern, abstract string sparkles seemed like a good way to open up the video and the music. Maybe this is something, Jens, you want to like go deeper.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the sparkles because this is something you came up with, Nico, and was like a great addition, as you said already, to the more or less conservative arrangement. But let's have a listen to these sparkles, what they do. Actually, they're quite subtle. Yeah, so very airy and very tangible, which is a great intro for the whole video. So what we basically did is we started with this very light and slow and steady, like the waves tone in music you would say is a pedal tone that is held actually very, very long over I don't know, at least 10 bars here, also changing the bars. And yeah, as I said before, it's building up a lot of tension before we actually introducing the Heart of Oak theme. So let's have a listen to the intro again, maybe until the melody kicks in. Yeah, so very, very subtle and very, I think, very appropriate for the video. So having all this opening shot on the ship coming from the horizon is very nice. And then we introduce, with a very conservative way, the Heart of Oak theme. Of course, in a very royal instrument. It's a trumpet actually, and this is the way it sounds in the trumpet. Let's have a listen to that. Soloed. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's actually the staccato overdub.
Nice.
Don't worry. Here we go. Yeah, very, very airy with a lot of reverb, very modern, very broad. And then we actually have a pause here. So normally the theme would go on, but we have a dramatic break, and then we go on with the answer. Yeah, it's basically the heart of oak. And in the beginning we have this very, very long, subtle pedal tone in the accompaniment. So all we hear is actually one note, as Nico, you said before, transposed down. So it's actually a B. Still having the pedal tone in the orchestra. Of course, a very modern way to harmonize it. This is actually all new. This is not in the original piece. Nico and I came up with this harmonization. And after this intro part, this beginning part, we then I think in the video it's as we see the ship mast coming up, and we have this wonderful shot in the video. And this moment, this is like the part where the drums come in, and we have all these military drums. Let me just solo them for a second. Very traditional drums. Yeah, so very strong, also very military-like, but we thought it would be a very great fit to that. Yeah, as we go to like this main part of the song, we're also introducing the whole orchestra. So again, we have this traditional arrangement. We have some brass over here, which is accompanying the theme. Over on top of that, we have the woodwinds, and of course, lots of strings. Together with the percussion, this is full sound. Yeah, and here comes actually something new. So in the video at this moment we are at below deck, and it gets a little more calmer, more intimate, and we're introducing a new theme that's actually not Heart of Oak. So we have a new theme in the French horns, also very, very calm, majestic. Sounds like this. And we double this not only with the cellos, also with the violins. drums back in. So at this point, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Nico, at this point we're very modern and very Hollywood-like scoring, but I think it very much fits the video at this point, yeah, let's go on. So at the end of the track, we are going back to the theme. And this time it's played by the cello. Again, in a very high range, very dramatic, very emotional. This is super high for a cello, by the way. And a very smooth ending. So we also not only played the theme in a cello, but also in a solo alto flute, which is actually a very a folkish and more simple instrument than the cello. It also has a British touch to it. Yeah, very subtle, but it gives it a extra magical touch. Yeah. Cool. So so far for the session, Nico, anything else I forget to mention?
Yeah, no, overall the music, really, to maybe conclude this again, it's a very traditional piece, but we try to have some modern elements in it, the way it's produced, and also like the cello in the end, and string sparkles which play in the beginning. I think this is very much the interesting part for the whole music of Ahoy, trying to find the balance between the traditional and historically correct music and the way you would expect music from the time to sound like, but still have this modern touch for a modern computer game, and with all the possibilities you have in this game, and how the music can change on the fly. We want really, it shouldn't be just, we don't try to imitate historically music, but give it some modern touch and try to push it in a new direction. And I mean, from a producing point, Jens and I, it was kind of a mess because we bounced Cubase sessions to each other, and in the end ended up with a sort of Frankenstein session. So what you're seeing might be a little not the tidiest Cubase session, but still we managed to
it worked
to have, I guess, a decent, yeah, it worked out in the end, and we learned a lot for the next tracks.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this was the music for the British ship and the British nation. As you can play many nations in Ahoy, or it's planned to play many nations, we're going to try to make music for all nations, specifically for the French, for the Spanish, for the Dutch, and so on. And if possible, maybe in future tracks, record live orchestra, or live soloists, live musicians. This would be something we both Jens and I look forward to very much, which would elevate the music, I guess,
absolutely,
to the next level. But all in all, I'm very proud of the track and the music we've written so far. And I guess there's lots of new stuff coming out with the new ships and the new stuff which will be introduced to Ahoy. So I don't know if there's anything to add, Jens, from your side.
yeah, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you find it interesting. Maybe we have the chance to do this someday again with another track. It's very important for us to have your support here and keep on supporting the project, as it's still an independent production, and it remains an independent production. So thank you very much for your support, and looking forward to the next videos and the next content.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Nein.
Please like and subscribe.